Welcome back to Northwestern Predecessors, episode 2. Oh yeah. In this episode, we should be focusing on the one and only Wellsworth and Suddery Railway, which lasted from 1881 all the way to 1919. There's a disclaimer, none of the information presented in this video is meant to be regarding the official universes of the Thomas brand, so it's not really going to directly link up to the Railway series, the TV series, or the CGI series, or any other iteration really. This only really connects to my personal headcanon or alt universe, in which I like to call it the Porterverse, for my own universe, Thomas. Get that out of the way, let's dive into the history of the Wellsworth and Suddery Railway. Here we go. In 1881, the railway opened to the public, and 4 engines were brought on for the railway, and these were manning Waterloo L-class tank engines. And among these were the first engine, number 1, Charlie, and number 4, Billy Derbyton. And like their siblings, they all wore the railway's rather vibrant livery. This livery consisted of a bright orange as the base color, a gold for the lining, dark purple trim, and white for the roofing and wheel trimming. And the railway began at the city of Wellsworth and ran down to a marina at Lower Suddery. Later on, a flour mill and then waste dump will be built north of Suddery. And for about 10 years or so, these were the only engines and notable servicing points of the railway. 1891 rolls around, and the W&SR receives an engine built on commission for shunting at the waste dump. Number 5, WIF, was based on the Northeastern Railway's Aerolite engine, and WIF will remain the waste dump shunter for many years. 1906 is when talks of an extension down to Brandham will begin amongst railway staff. The new engines will be bought around this time in preparation for this, and construction will begin in 1909. In 1911 saw the railway celebrate its 30th anniversary, and so the extension of Brandham saw the construction of a new dockyard for the railway, and at this point in time it was the largest port on Sodor. A new crane will be built on site at Brandham and it will be known as Cranky, which became one of the most used cranes on Sodor. And the shunter for this dockyard was a rather interesting case. You see, in 1912, the W&SR commissioned the Knapford and Ulstead Railway to build a shunter based on their R46 class of tank engines. And this engine arrived shortly after, and it was based on this class. Notable differences being the type of running board, among other changes from the R46 class. And this engine was painted into a solid yellow livery with blue wheels to make him stand out more amongst the gray dullness of the Brandon docks. And this engine was named Bartholomew.
Do you get the reference? If you do, you're cool.
And was designated as a shunter of Brandon Docks. 1914, the Great War begins, and in 1917, an R-rated 280 arrives at Brandon Docks en route to continental Europe. The ship carrying this engine encountered a storm en route, and the engine sustained heavy damage along with the ship. And both managed to scrape into Brandon just in time where they were both repaired, and the engine was brought to the W&SR's workshop for its repairs. And after about a week or so of repair work, the engine went on its way to Europe after being repaired, and it actually survived the war as well, along with the ship. Later on that year, in 1917, an electric engine named Stafford would arrive for shunting duties at Suddery. And that exact engine from the ROD that was repaired at Brandon will wound up being purchased by the W&SR in late 1918 and was officially renamed to Red Dragon. And the Red Dragon wore a livery that would later inspire the Northwestern Railway's red livery. But that's another story, of course. In 1919, the W&SR will come to an end. Sort of. As the railway was merged with the Knapford, Aldersborough, and Ulstead Railway, it officially became one giant railway. But I shan't say any more on this, for I may spoil a story meant for another day. So, for a recap, the engines of the W&SR by 1918 are as follows. Number 1, Charlie. Number 2, Number 3, Number 3. Number 4, Billy Derbyton. Number 5, WIF. Number 6, Bartholomew. Number 7, Stafford. And number 8, Red Dragon. There are a total of 8 engines owned by the railway, and around 4 of them survive in present day. And most of them did manage to survive past agreement period, and even into the nationalization era by an extent. And they all have quite a history, to say the least. Oh, and if you're wondering, the China clay pits nearby Brandon would open in 1913 under the Northwestern Railway. Just want to clarify that, of course, if you thought I was missing it. Definitely didn't forget about it, you know. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Northwestern Predecessors, and I shall see you all in the next one.